So yeah, I'm gonna put it a little bit smaller. All right, we're recording. What's up, everybody? It's Noah. I'm here with Ryan. It was
What's
a
up,
digital
guys?
marketing
I'm Ryan.
agency. So Ryan, I guess we'll just go back into what we were talking about. We were talking a little bit off stream. We decided to just go ahead and go straight into it. So
Mhm.
like, why we've been seeing all these clips agencies come up with people like doing short form content for business owners. Why do you think that's not that good of an idea? Because we were kind of talking about that.
I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. It's just not the highest leverage skill that you can have. So you're capped because you're either a good editor or you're terrible. And
Yeah.
so there's no like at a certain point for long form content, yeah, you can consistently get better and go to like these movie kind of like cinematic type things, and there's always more things you can do. But with short form content, yeah, it's similar, but for what you're doing with it, all you really need is to chop it up, make it engaging, and then put some subtitles onto it like everybody else is doing. And it just, you're capped at, you can't really stand out from anybody else at a certain point. Alex Hormozy and Layla Hormozy really go into this more. Uh, a way to actually make it more of a beneficial business is saying, hey, I know what makes good content. I'm not just going to edit your content. I'm going to make you scripts. I'm going to give you skits to perform. I'm going to basically I'm going to be your content manager. So not only are we going to edit your videos, but we're going to come up with keywords and titles, and we're going to just send all of these ideas for you to film. You send it back to us, and then we post it, right? That would be a better business model. But the problem with this business model, and this is the problem with even with my agency, is there's a level of control that you can have. So you're for this video content stuff to work, you're dependent on your client to actually do the work that's involved to send you content. So they have to go and film that content, send it to you, and that's just work that they have to do. So for instance, a client that I'm working with right now, I'm giving them a really good deal. I'm taking a lot of my model right now is I know what I'm doing works. So I'd rather not charge a lot up front and just give it to them at cost. So I'll basically give them my services at cost. I charge them the expenses, and then I take a piece of the whatever I'm able to bring in, so I can scale a lot higher than just making 2 or 3 grand a month. But the problem is I'm waiting on people to send me information. Oh, can you send me these pictures? Can you update these registries? Can you send me all this information? And they take forever to do it, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they're just like an employee of someone else. They're like, it's on the back of their mind. Or if it's I'm dealing with the owner and the owner's running around doing a bunch of things. It's really complicated because now you're dependent on someone else giving you a resource for you to fulfill your job instead of something that's like just running Facebook ads. It's like, oh, I have everything I need. Just give me access to the business account, and then we can an ad account, and we can start running. It's really complicated to be able to. You have to depend on someone else. It's really annoying.
Yeah, what's the best way to get past that, to go through that? Because I've had, and even in my agency with, like, we'll have the employee that really hit home because I had, like, one of my clients is super big guy, and he basically he's offloading all his stuff to his, not assistant, but basically the guy under him that's working with him.
Mhm.
And we have to go through that guy, and that guy's looking at this like, oh, this is extra work for me to do. I'm on salary. Why the heck am I going to even check this out?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling it
Yeah.
personally. So like, obviously not going to come out and say that. What is the way to kind of get past that, or is there like no way to get
Dude,
past
it's really tough. And if you're off of performance stuff, you really have to remind them and be like, hey, look, I'm doing this off of performance. If I can't do my job, neither of us are making money, right? And I'm sitting here not doing anything. So a way to get past it is really just reminding them and just
Yeah.
being, dude, look, I can't do my job if I don't have this information. So this cannot be successful if you don't just get me this information. There's really no way around it. The only thing that you can really do is I mean, that's why there's really not much else you can do. Like that's why a lot of marketing companies do retainers, because it's like, okay, if they're just paying me 3 grand a month, if they want to take all day long and not get it to me, because I have clients that I'm working with. They pay me a monthly retainer, and they won't give me the required information for us to take the next step. And they've paid me for like 2 months now. They just haven't gotten me the
Yeah.
information. So that's on them. I remind them. I send them a weekly text. I mean, it gets annoying. I was sending them like multiple texts a week, and then it just kind of, it's like you're not getting responses, so you do it like once a week and then once every 2 weeks. And it's, if they're paying you, whatever. But that's the problem. Is this is why it's hard to go off of performance, is because now I have to depend on you to do your job to get me the information for me to do my job, right? So it's really tough. So you're dependent on someone else, and I hate depending on other people. You cannot depend on anyone. If like if there's anything to learn about business, have as much control as possible. That doesn't mean that you have to personally be doing all these tasks, but have the authority to make decisions and control the input output. So basically, it's like you don't have to be doing, like for instance, what I do is I'll get small business owners um, traffic to their business by optimizing their Google business profile, their SEO, organically, by just writing content and just optimizing them for their area. Um, so that will get them like people calling them, local traffic. And then if they already have that, I'll then go and say, hey, I'll do ads for you too. Right. Or I'll set up ads, because I don't think it's logical to sell someone that's just starting out in business. If they're not optimized locally to have people that are actively searching for their service, to track into them, it's kind of, you're doing them a disservice to try to sell them ads. It's like, well, why don't we just get you a good bottom line increase where you have organic traffic coming in, a good baseline, and then do ads. So instead of spending a monthly like ad budget of $3,000, $6,000, why don't we spend $3,000, $6,000 setting up your website properly, getting you organic traffic, so that set up, that's not going anywhere. Now you have a good new baseline of revenue coming in to fund an ad campaign. I never just sell someone for the sake of selling them shit that they don't need. So I turn down clients where it's like, I'm not going to run an ad campaign for you because you don't have a follow-up process. You're going to be like, hey, these leads suck because you don't know how to communicate with the leads properly. And I recommend them like, hey, look, you could pay me $1,000. We can set you up this ad campaign, but you've never sold solar before. Like, this is your first time selling solar. Why don't you just go pick up the phone and start dialing, dude? Like, start getting your sales process in, get a proven method, and then let's attack some ads. Because I just know it's gonna look bad on my record, because you're gonna be pissed off because it's not gonna work for you because you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like a lawyer taking a lost case. Like, lawyers don't take losing cases for a reason. It's the same thing with a marketing company. Do not take on clients that you know for a fact it's not going to work for. But people will do it because they're desperate for money, right? But
Yeah, and that's when it comes into the abundance mindset of literally just being like, okay, cool, I already know what I'm doing. Even when you first start out, I feel like a lot of people start out in a desperation spot. Literally, I mean, the best thing that worked for me was I was working in sales before I got into it, and it's literally like work your job and keep going, even if you're
mhm.
working at like Chick-fil-A, something like that. Keep working your job because you don't want to quit and then be super freaking desperate to land these clients. You got to keep
Yeah.
like going. Speaking of, with your story, like when did you get into this, and how was your story? Like how, yeah, what's your story?
Yeah, how I got into it. So I got into it kind of before COVID. I flew back out to California where I grew up and my family lived. And I was supposed to do like marketing for their company, my stepdad's company out there. He owns like an electric company, electrician. He's an electrician, and I've seen him like rebuild his business multiple times because of bad marriages and women taking everything from him. So he's had to rebuild his business multiple times. Um, and so I went out there to go and scale some marketing, and then that didn't happen. I ended up like going back to college for a semester. They convinced me to go to college for a semester. I was like, dude, this sucks. Joined a frat. It wasn't the most ideal thing. And I was like, dude, I do not like, I'm depressed. Like I became depressed. I was like, this is not it. Like I was doing accounting, hated it. Was supposed to go out there to do marketing. That didn't happen. Now I'm trapped in this, like, I guess, like college thing. Like, how did this even happen? And so I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this. I went and I started like wholesaling real estate. Um, and that was fine. I liked wholesaling real estate because it was sales. And I used to do sales going door to door selling internet. So that's how I got my like sales skills. And I'm by no means am I like a sales master. There's a ton of people better, but you should learn sales. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I started wholesaling real estate. The problem is, and why I don't like wholesaling real estate, is it's very unethical because you're basically trying to convince someone to sell their house at a very, very deep discount. So you're lowballing people and you're screwing them out of a ton of money. And so I didn't feel ethical or morally right for doing it. And it's the same reason why I sold this sale or I quit the sales job when I was going door to door is because I was the number one sales guy and I started running my sales team in the first month and had people under me where I was training them and they were a part of my team. But here's where it falls flat. And this is going to be with everything in sales. I tried the product. I signed up my family. My family were like, dude, this is dog shit. And I was like, okay, let me try it. But I started using the internet and the services. Horrible. So I didn't have the conviction to keep selling it. I didn't believe in the product. So if you don't believe in what you're selling, it's going to be really hard to sell it. So I quit that job. And so that's the same thing with the wholesaling real estate. I stopped doing the wholesaling real estate and I was like, dude, what can I do logically? Like that makes sense. Like all of us like 20-year-olds were like trying to figure out like, what is it that we're going to be able to do successfully that we can stand doing that we don't absolutely hate and we can feel good about doing, right? Like we feel like we have like a purpose doing it. And so that was where SMMA came in. Because it goes back to that marketing. Oh, we were going to do the marketing. It's just sales, but blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing with SMMA. If you don't know how to sell, do not try to start an agency. Go learn how to sell first, because what are you just going to you're going to fill up your calendar and not know how to close those deals? You're wasting your own time. Go learn how to sell and then basically sell someone else's offer that's proven. So that way, it's just you sucking at sales and not the offer that sucks. And then get good at selling someone else's shit and then sell your own shit. It's that easy, yet it's hard because it takes time. You got to learn how to sell, right? And by no means am I a master salesman, and I should have stuck with sales a little bit longer before transitioning over to doing my agency because my sales would be more consistent. And that's where it's really tough because I'll get sales in, but then you'll basically gain clients, lose clients, and you have to learn like 12, 15 skills with SMMA. You have to learn how to run an email campaign. You have to learn you have to have this running in the background. You have to learn how to run an email campaign, which costs money. You have to learn how to send cold DM campaigns. And you have to have this all running automated in the background. What makes a good cold email campaign? I used to do cold calling primarily, but that doesn't work with the offer that I'm pushing, selling to roofing companies, because there's gatekeepers and you never get past them. They're really fucking good at their job because there's so many people that are starting SMMA trying to call these people.
Dude, no. I'm gonna put you on some game. It's easy to get past the gatekeeper. You just gotta talk to the sales guy. I read this in Little Red Book of Selling. It's a really good book. But basically, all you have to do when you get on the phone with them, you go on Google reviews, right? And then you're like, hey, man, let me find you see, like, let's say John over here. He's top roofer, right? He's got a bunch of reviews. Call the company and be like, hey, I want to speak to John. When you speak to John, then you're like, hey, John, blah, 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 this is what I do. They will tell you everything about the company. And then you can be like, hey, I mean, I do need to talk to the owner. And then dude, they're a sales guy. They don't give a shit. They want to have online leads. Like they
Right,
want
that's
that
true.
stuff.
That's a
So
really good
then they
strat.
go straight in and they talk to the
Interesting.
business owner.
That
So
is interesting.
you just got to find creative ways. I mean, I think everything in business is just being creative. You got to work your creative
Hmm.
muscle to the point where it's like
I agree.
I'm there. But but yeah, go on. You were saying,
Yeah, man. I
yeah.
mean, that's some
So cold calling is like not. Now I give it
cold
to you.
calling's
Cold
really
calling's
good
not
for
great,
like if you
but
want to call small businesses and stuff like that. Solar I've had the best success
yeah,
um cold calling for sure. I would cold call. You have to look at where your demographics hanging out, right? Like these contractors aren't sitting there on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's horrible. I sent like 1,000 messages and didn't get anyone to respond. And I think LinkedIn personally is terrible. It's like, that if you get a message on LinkedIn, it's someone selling you something. There's nothing genuine. There's nothing like, I don't know. It's all spam to me. So I don't focus on LinkedIn. I'm sure there's people that are super successful with outreach on LinkedIn, no doubt. I'm probably just an idiot. But the thing is, I just don't see the upside for focusing on LinkedIn. Maybe eventually, but right now, where I've seen it do best is this iMessage stuff and iMessage stuff, reaching out on Facebook, and then Um, cold emailing the least, just because it's saturated and you have to be really good. Like it's a really big skill game, and it's a high numbers game, and I'm just not good enough yet. Personally, like I just know my cold emailing isn't good enough. Cold calling, I'm fine. That's probably my best forte is cold calling, and cold DMing, but it's tough. It's the same thing. Solar, when I was selling the solar salesman, so how I first started with SMMA is I had someone that I met in Miami. I met him at a club, and he did solar, and I don't even really know. He just kind of saw that I was doing marketing stuff. I'm posting videos, and he's like, "Oh, dude, like, would you be interested in kind of doing like a partnership?" I basically gave it to him at cost. I'll run the ads. I take a piece, right? Um, he was just kind of paying me a small retainer to run these Facebook ads. We never actually started launching the ads. And you'll see that a lot with SMMA. A lot of times you'll get the sale, have them pay you, but they'll never actually get you the required information to get started. So they're just paying you a retainer in the background until they give up on themselves and they're like, whatever. So that'll happen to you, by the way, if you start SMMA.
do you think it's the
That's
right?
how I got started. Is this guy just getting me in the solar, and then I just started selling the solar salesman, and I switched to the companies, and now I do roofing for SEO stuff because I know that that's like super powerful. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at.
So for somebody starting an SMMA, do you think it's worth it to start it right now?
I mean, if you're gonna start one and that's what you want to do, and you
Yeah.
know that's what you want to do, yeah. I mean, the sooner you start, the better. But if you don't have any baseline of skills, do not start SMMA. If you've never even heard of a sales funnel, if you don't know what copywriting is, if you don't know like how to run a Facebook ad campaign, what all these gurus are going to tell you to do is go get sales and then pass it off to someone to do the fulfillment. And how are you going to learn? How are you going to know what makes a good ad campaign if you're not running them yourselves? Learn the skill of running a good ad campaign. Be the media buyer. Don't pass it off to someone, because then you're just a glorified salesman. And you might as well just go do high ticket sales. You're not really running an SMMA. You're just selling and then passing it off. Like, you have to learn so many skills with SMMA. Run it, how to do. If you're full service, that means how SEO works, Google Business Profile, Facebook advertising, Google advertising, TikTok advertising, um, content. So many things you got to learn. Why not just? But it all comes back to one thing: getting sales. Doesn't matter how many skills you learn if you don't know how to get sales, you don't have a business. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to start a business and not getting any sales. So go learn how to sell. And then once you know how to sell, then go start a business and sell your own shit. I think that's the best and most optimal route. Like if I was an 18-year-old, that's exactly what I would do. Go learn how to sell solar. Like solar, I would be in solar, going door to door, selling solar right now.
Yeah. Door to door solar sales is it's pretty good. It's where it's at. I did it for about a year. The commissions are pretty big. Um, it can be saturated in some places. Like I'd say where I'm at right now in Dallas, like dude, I'd do like pest control or lawn care because solar in Dallas is like so knocked up because of the roofing and everything like that. Even I wouldn't even say if you're selling SMMA, like I would say don't target people in Dallas because you're not going to get them results.
Yeah.
You're going to be they're in the most it's the most saturated market in the freaking country. So it's
Yeah.
like why would you go out there and just go to a saturated market? Speaking of saturated, most people say SMMA is saturated, but it's like
Mhm.
it's never gonna be like you think on. It's just the same thing with drop shipping. Do you think people aren't just gonna buy online products anymore? Do you think people
Right.
aren't
Right.
gonna
Right.
market
Not
anymore?
market anymore.
Yeah, they're all. It's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be that
Bro,
thing,
when it
and you just
comes
gotta
down
figure
to
out
it,
where you are, where
you're
which
just not
percent.
good enough. Alex Hormozy
Yeah,
says it. You're just not good enough. Like I accept the fact that I'm just not good enough right now. And like that's okay. Like you know what I mean? Like just get good. That's it. Just keep practicing. Keep like where I'm at with my agency is like I'll have good months where I've got like making money and then money months that I'm not because I'm losing clients because it's very volatile. And that's the thing about SMMA is you're based off of like retainers or performance and it's super volatile until you can stabilize it. And like I'm still like in that phase of like it's volatile. I'm gaining clients, losing clients. I'm trying to optimize my service delivery, doing all this there and that. It, it's easy to get like flustered and overwhelmed, but you just got to sit back and be like, this is a part of the process and look at it objectively. What can you do today, right now, in the moment to move a step forward? And then just do that, you know? And I think a lot of people start SMMA because they're focused on the glory of it or we'll make money online, blah, blah, blah. There's a million ways to make money online. It doesn't have to be SMMA. You could just do one thing, which is video editing. Like I've got my boy Mark Santos, he's like the number one video editor on Fiverr, um, and he's traveling Europe right now. I think he just hit Amsterdam. Um, damn, I didn't text him back. I'm so bad at texting people back, bro. Um, yeah, that literally reminded me I didn't text him back. I feel like an asshole now. But yeah, there's so many small things you can do to make money online. You can just be a copywriter. Now, it's really tough with copywriting because you've got AI. AI is a tool, it's not going to replace you, but it definitely makes more people think, "Oh, hey, why am I going to buy copy from you when I can just go on ChatGPT and then, you know what I mean?"
copywriting is expensive, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, good copy, dude. If you've got good copy, bro, I mean, if it converts, people will pay whatever, right? Like, but you have to be good. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of the times, what people don't do, you have to eat shit for a while. Basically, like, you have to just get a client.
Literally, get on
Like,
your knees and eat shit.
like I'll do it for free.
Just
Don't,
do
but
it.
this doesn't work, bro. This does not work. Hey, I'll work for you for free, dude. No, because then I have to show you what to do. I have to do this, there, and that, and I have to work for you to be able to just do your job.
What you should do for free is just do an all commission job.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Um,
You go solar, you go any of those things. Roofing doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Real estate.
I wouldn't focus if I were like looking into do one thing. I'm like, hey, it depends what your goal is. Like a lot of people get into SMMA and they're thinking about like Iman Ghazi, oh, I'm going to be able to travel the world, live in Dubai and do all of these things. You have to keep this in mind, dude. Like I could go to Thailand right now and technically just live in Thailand and run my business, or I could go and live in Europe and run my business. But the problem with that is all my clients are in America. So that time difference, what I'm going to be waking up or like I have to stay up all night just to be able to message people, my clients, or try to take sales calls in the middle of the night in Europe, it's going to be miserable. Like, yeah, it will be fun to do this digital nomad thing for like a couple weeks and then be able to keep it on autopilot and manage. But long term, dude, you're not going to be able to run an agency traveling the world and do all of that because there's just so many things that you have to manage, and you're going to need to be on access to be able to talk to clients like pretty much immediately. And if you're sleeping through the 12-hour period that all your clients or your demographic is awake, it's super contradictive. Unless you have a CMO, and I'm not at the point where I have a CMO that's managing everything and I just have to manage that one person. If you get to that spot, yeah, great. Go travel the world and you can live anywhere you want. But you got to get your agency to the point of having a CMO. And a good CMO is going to be like $100,000 a year. So you got to have at least like $8,000 a month to be able to pay a CMO to do that. And if you have a CMO, you're going to have other people underneath you that you're paying as well. So it's all scaling, right? And that comes into place of you have to learn like 12 different skills instead of why don't you just go learn how to sell and then go sell a high ticket offer, make some money, and then launch your business idea, you know? But a lot of people want to go right in the SMMA, right? And that's I didn't really do that, but in a way I kind of did, where what I could have done better is why don't I just go work for someone else's agency that's doing really successful and then learn their offer and then learn their sales script and then just choose a different niche and repeat the same framework. You know what I mean? It'll carry over. If you have a working business model, it'll carry over. It's like Alex Hormozy and Gym Launch. Like he started Gym Launch, but now he's able to use all of that information that he learned from Gym Launch that made it successful to be able to implement it into any business. You know what I mean? So it all carries over.
Every single skill that you learned, and no, you can't. No one can take your knowledge away. Everything
Yeah,
else can be taken away, but except for your knowledge. That's why it's so important for like I think younger people just hit the doors because you hit the doors and you create stories because most of the people in our generation just don't have any stories to tell because they don't have any real life experiences.
right.
You can say, "Oh yeah, I watched the TV and I can bring a story from there and be like, okay, cool. Like this is what I saw on TikTok," but they don't have any like real life experiences. Like
Right.
me, I like I've had people chase me getting off the doors, like trying to sell them stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
literally like I've had like big fat dudes get really close to me and like yell in my ear, and it's like,
Yeah.
can you say you've had that happen to you? Have you gone through that before? No, you haven't.
Right.
You've been sitting
Yeah.
on TikTok all day. There's no stories. You can't bring a story out. You
That's
know?
why you typically are seeing these guys that are blowing up, right? Like me, dude, I'm 24. I have probably more world experiences than most 24-year-olds, but I still am not sitting there like I'm Bradley Martin or Alex Hermosi who are like 35, 45, 50, who have 10 years ahead of me of stories, right?
Yeah.
Like my stories right now are like, and this is where my content used to be, is like talking about getting girls or talking about like partying and like doing kind of just, I don't know, dickhead 20-year-old stuff, right? And I got attention for doing it, but it's like that's kind of a phase that I'm pushing out of my life, and now all I'm focused on is business. And yeah, like that's great and all, but when you're trying to make content about business, and then you're here, right? And then you got Alex Hermosi here. Who's going to create better content? The guy that's made hundreds of millions of dollars, or the guy that hasn't made hundreds of millions of dollars and has all the stories of telling you how to do it? You know what I mean? So you really, like you said, have to get that experience.
Yeah.
Um, so where my content comes from now is sharing what I'm doing. Not like I'm not saying, oh, here's how to make $1 million in 5 minutes, because I haven't made $1 million in 5 minutes. But I'll say I launched this email campaign. The results will shock you. So then you're showing you're doing shit. Most people are never going to take action, right? They're dreamers. They're watching all these YouTube videos and they're like, just one more video and then we'll do it, right? So if you just make videos, content of you doing shit, you creating tasks and then finishing them, you taking action on shit and then documenting it, people are going to watch it because they're like, oh, this guy did some shit, let me watch his shit, right? You know what I mean? Because most people won't do shit. So
I mean,
then
yeah, even the
they'd
people
rather
that
watch
do
you
take that
do it.
little step,
Yeah.
90% of businesses fail.
Yeah.
And people forget about that. They're like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll be able to make it. It'll be easy." No, it won't be. Like even me and you, we both have clients. We
Hmm.
both have clients. We're probably in the top 60% at least, because
Hmm.
most people haven't even signed their first client. I mean, this is
Right.
my 16th or 17th podcast. Most people don't get past their 20th podcast. I think it's like
Right.
80% don't get past the 20th podcast. It's literally just consistency. That's all
Yeah.
it is. All it is consistency and
It
action.
is consistency, but also it in reality, it's just not giving up and then doing the most leverage. Like last year, when I first started creating content, I was putting out a video a day. Like every day I was putting out a video. Um, and we gained traction and we've gotten views and everything. But short form content is not the highest leverage. Yes, it is. Like if you have a whole content team, but you need to make long form content and then clip it up in the short form. You know what I mean? So make the long form content, make it as good as possible, get that AdSense revenue, brand deals, and stuff like that. Like I was making controversial content, so there's not really anything you can do to monetize that, and it just kind of you and like makes you look like a dickhead. Like I was kind of in this Andrew Tate red pill realm, and I learned how to gain attention, but I didn't want to monetize a bunch of loser kids that are basically like incels because that's what it attracts. Like straight up, I thought making red pill content and talking about girls and business, like I didn't really talk so much about business, but like talking about girls and this is going to attract like other high value men, right? But it just attracts losers that want to be like basically like wannabes being like, dude, like how do you have the balls to talk to girls? And it's like you're a geek, like you're a nerd, and then now I have to go try to sell you some shit, like oh yeah, buy my $60 DM script to girls. I don't want to be that guy. It's like, dude, girls are an afterthought, bro. Like that shit's residual to me. Like I just go out and then get like I'm not thinking about it actively. It's just like that's the
Yeah.
easiest part of my day. I don't know. Like me personally, like I've had no throughout my lifetime no issues with women. Like I just being straight up haven't. Now when it comes down to like discipline and hunkering down, focusing and getting what I need to get done, I've had large amount of issues doing that. So like and I think that's where most people are at, right? Like they have a huge amount of, I guess, a lack of discipline and they're trying to fill this void with content and it's never gonna get there. So I just kind of realized my content wasn't really helping anybody. It was just kind of stirring up drama, gaining attention, but there was no real way to monetize it. And I would be better off just talking about business stuff, um, because then it will attract other business owners and it will attract clients, and it's more of a high leverage thing to do. But I don't focus on the short form anymore because um, why not focus on like one video every 2 weeks of like the highest quality content you can come up with. That way it can get the most amount of views. Instead of posting every day, just do one really good video every 2 weeks, right? Because then it's able to, you're creating really high quality content that you're able to basically monetize the long form and then clip it up in the short form. I think that's more of the model that I'm going towards. And it's going to be more about me doing things in the business realm, not like, oh, hey, I'm on this pedestal. I'm saying, let's get to this pedestal. So, like, join me on the journey of, hey, we're growing together. This is what I'm doing. You'll see the results of me failing. You'll see the results of me succeeding. And you'll see all of the transparency that comes along with scaling. Because I'm not going to stop. I might as well just record it and show you,
Yeah.
like, everyone else, hey, this is where Ryan was when he first started posting content about social media marketing. Now, this is where Ryan is a year later or 2 years later. It's like, dude, I've watched this guy literally just do shit. And now he's one of the top guys in SMMA just because of the fact that he didn't quit and he was just completing tasks. Like if you just set objectives and finish them, you'll get some sort of results. It might not be like you're making $1 million, but it will be like, oh, hey, I sent 1,000 cold emails. I got 2-3 responses. Like that's a win. That's 2 or 3 responses that you never would have had if you never launched that campaign. But now it comes down to how long did it take you to launch that campaign, right? Did it take you 2 weeks to, oh, well, I got to set up the domain and the, or was it like,
Speed.
yeah, it's all speed, dude. Like that's what I've realized the most is like, look at Mark Zuckerberg. All right. So Elon Musk Elon Musk buys Twitter, does a bunch of monetization things to recoup his losses from buying Twitter because he's basically forced to buy Twitter, lost a bunch of money, and now he's trying to monetize the hell out of Twitter to be able to make it profitable or recoup his losses. Mark Zuckerberg sees this and he says, Elon Musk is losing a lot of the Twitter fan base. The user base is pissed off because he just keeps monetizing shit, pissing everybody off. What does Mark Zuckerberg does? He creates a rival app, Threads app, releases it 5 days after Elon Musk heavily monetizes Twitter, and then boom, 10 million users in 7 hours. Boom, speed. Like it was just like super fast because he saw the opportunity to capitalize off of Elon Musk's failure, and he did it. And he did it in 5 days, basically like 24 hours. He just created this app and then launched it because he's like, Elon Musk sucks. I'm going to do it better. So if you can just,
Like he was just waiting for him to
yeah,
mess up. He probably had it ready. He had it in the chamber. It was like, all right, let's press the button. Let's go.
yeah, he actually, I think he talked about it a couple months ago. He was like, yeah, we're working on something kind of like Threads. So it wasn't, I kind of thought it was out of the blue. Like he just made this app in like 5 days, but I think it did take him, he was already working on it, but that probably like jump started like, hey, here's the perfect moment to release this. Like
Yeah.
we're going to release it. Let's release it now. And it worked phenomenally. I think the only thing that they need to do with Threads is they need to be able to add like a trending section. They need to add like basically what TikTok does, what Reels does, and what like all these short form or in shorts does is when you post something on Threads, it should automatically push it. So like it should test it out and push it through the algorithm to promote it to people to see how well it does, and then give you that chance to go viral. Because then you'll have a lot more people shooting their shot with new content pieces because they're like, oh, this one might get like send it. But like as far as right now, like nobody really sees your stuff unless not even if they follow you. Like it's kind of random if they see it or not.
You'll definitely start pushing it and getting it to the point where it'll grow and grow and grow and grow. And this is the time. I mean, I remember years ago when I started my theme page or whatever, when I was doing Instagram theme pages, and grew it up to 25, 27K, and literally like that because reels were popping off. So I was getting like
Right.
1 to 2, 3 million views. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap everything up. What can people expect from you in the future, Ryan?
A lot more content. I mean, as far as right now, I'm really in this place where business has sucked up most of my time, and figuring out a way to keep content consistent enough where I'm posting something, whether it's a long form piece, at least once every 2 weeks. I Short form I don't think is the highest leverage thing. I would rather make long form and then clip it up in the short form. And I'm just trying to find what is going to be the best I guess plan of execution on doing that. And then yeah, just scaling business stuff. Nothing too crazy besides that.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I've been doing these podcasts, and the clips are going pretty good. And then I'm just struggling doing the personal branding just because of time, dude. Like, I hop on these podcasts, and then I have all that time to clip them all up. But going and doing a personal branding type of thing is just it's. I feel like I need like a content team to even like start doing that. I can definitely be like, hey, I'm over here, stuff like that. But like, I think the podcasts are definitely where it's. For me and for you, I mean, it seems like you're really good at doing like the personal branding of everything. So I definitely think you'll go far.
Yeah, I think personal, exactly what you said. There's just no time.
Yeah.
Like the really hard part is what I'm doing every day is like I'm sitting here and I'm like building this business, and it's not the most glamorous or exciting thing in the world. I'm not out like here enjoying all the fruits of my labor. I'm doing the labor, right? Like your 20s right now is when you should be grinding head down, and it's almost like that Rocky fight scene montage where you're focused on your craft. And so there's not a lot of I guess space for like I guess the entertainment side of things, because when growing a personal brand, 20% of this, I saw this, I don't know where I saw this, it was like 20% of the content that you're posting should be about the thing that you do. So like if your offer is like, oh hey, I optimize, what my offer basically is like I'll optimize you locally, your small business locally, to get you more calls into your business or clients. um Only talk about that 20% of the time, and then the 80% is like random things about your personal life, or things that like interest you, or like things that are happening in the world, and you're just giving your take, because then it gives people to relate to you. Like people buy from those that they like and trust. And so how are people going to get to know you? Well, through your content. And so give them like what are some of your hobby pieces, and this, there, and that. Because if you look at other creators' content, like Alex Hermosi is doing now, is like he talks a lot about like now, I mean, he has a whole team of content. Like if I had 200 grand a year to spend on a content team, fantastic. Follow me around in the gym, follow me around on a day-to-day basis, like if you want. But like I don't have 200 grand to just spend on a content team. They do. So like they're able to just push this stuff out. But like what he's doing is, if you watch like his newer stuff, him and Layla are starting to just vlog, because people are interested in their daily life. He gave a ton of
Because it became somebody now.
yeah. So that's where with a personal brand, um, you have to add that in, like the personal human part into that. Like they have to get to know you, right? It's not really like so much about the business. Like with if you were to build a business brand, like on my business YouTube, which I'm really split towards where I want to post my long form content, if I want to post it on my business YouTube or my personal brand. um if you look at that, all I'm doing is like tutorials on how to do stuff with my business, like how to find leads, how to send a cold email campaign, how to do this, there, and that. But then with my personal brand, it's more entertaining, where it's more um, like what to do, like when your friend asks you for money, right? And then like that's one of those, oh yeah, I had a friend ask me for money, let's watch this, right? Um, it's very different growing a personal brand than a like a business's brand.
Yeah, because you have to worry about like, I mean, the personal brand is like you're just sitting there. But how do you bring those two together? Is just it's 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 a lot. It's a lot of time. That's the problem that we have to deal with. We have to deal
Mhm.
with because if you build this huge personal brand, then you're gonna have it to the point where your stuff is flooding in. I have somebody who is a life insurance agent, and she also sells coaching on going viral on socials. But I mean, she literally has like to the point where like she put one post out there for life insurance, and she got 3,000 leads. Just like, hey, I need life
Yeah,
insurance. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, it's
I
super
need
powerful.
that. Like, you need to have that in the future, but it's a long term game. It's a long term game.
Yeah,
You just have to. Because like in 2 or 3 years, we keep doing stuff like this.
mhm.
Like people are just going to be flooding our DMs with, "Hey, can you do this? Can I want to work with you? I want to work with you. I want to work with you. Come
I
on
mean,
my podcast. Come on my podcast. Stuff like that."
you got to think about it this way, dude. Like nobody knows who you are, right? So if
Yeah,
you're not posting yourself on the internet, nobody knows what you do, how you do it, and why they should work with you or choose you to do it for them. And so
Yeah.
you posting content about what you do, you posting content about who you are, you posting content about interesting things that might be relevant to what you do, or interesting things that are happening in the world, or giving your takes on things. It helps show people what you do and why they should work with you, right? Like if you're not putting those hooks. I saw a really good video where it was actually had to do with SEO stuff, where when it comes to SEO, this guy basically paid another guy $20,000 to make a website. It only had 19 pages or something, like 17 pages on it, which is nothing. That is nothing. For 20 grand, you should have like 500 pages or something, like a lot more pages. Attached to your website. So the guy basically got scammed out of the website. He's like, think about it this way with SEO and web pages, each page that is optimized for a keyword is like a hook in the ocean, in the ocean, waiting for a fish to come by and attach for you to get that sale, right? So the more hooks you have, the more videos you create, the more content you create, the more emails you send, the more DMs you send, the more cold calls you make, ultimately the more money you're going to make, because the more points of contact you're hitting. And I think a lot of people just aren't doing enough. Like you have to have processes, like test what's working. So this DM script works. Okay, now do more volume of it, right? Have it automated if you can. Have a bunch of automated bots basically build these Facebook profiles. This is what I'm doing for my next video is I'm building basically like AI humans. Just I'm creating fake people and then making them a Facebook account and then sending cold DMs through that using like AI and stuff. So that's going to be my next video. Have that running in the background. Like always have cold emails running in the background. And so the more systems you have, the more wheels churning, the more points of contact you have, the ultimately more conversations you have, the more money you make. Like that's just it. And it's just finding what works, tweaking and dialing in, right?
Well, shoot, that's
Hooks,
a
man.
good spot. That's a good spot to end everything. Like, yo, everybody who's wanting to do it, even if you don't know where you're going, like, just put the content out. Just say, this is
Mhm.
what I'm doing. I'm doing door to door. Crazy story happened there. Crazy thing
Yeah.
happened there.
Yeah.
That's just document the whole process. Exactly what Ryan was saying, and
Mhm.
pretty much
Yeah, 100%. Like I guess the last thing I'll leave you with is if you're not like an expert at something,
Mhm.
but you want to make content because you're like, dude, I want to make content. Everyone's making content.
Mhm.
Don't try to go from the perspective of, oh, hey, I'm the expert. Like, here's how to make $1 million when you haven't made $1 million. Don't try to teach people shit you haven't done. What you should do instead is say, I'm gonna make $1 million in a what's a good video title? It would be like turning $1 into $1 million, or something like you doing something like I sent 1,000 cold emails so you don't have to, or I created an AI virtual assistant. It doesn't mean that like it has to be the most successful thing ever. Just create a task and then finish it and then film it. That's it. Like have an objective in mind, create a task and film it. And one thing that I learned, the last thing, is I learned this from Mr. Beast. Whatever you're doing, create the framework in a storyline framework. And I'll give it to you right now. Uh,
Okay.
each video, every single video, what you want to do is create it in this framework. Um, I got to find it. YouTube. Okay. So exposition, rising action, the peak climax, falling action, and resolution. So what that means is when they click on your video, say exactly what they're getting, right? Like in this video, we're going to send 1,000 cold emails and see if we can land a client. Okay, cool. That's the exposition, rising action. Okay, for us to do that, we need a cold email. So what we're going to, or we need an email to send it from. So we're going to warm it up with this email, blah, 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 email provider, and then this, there, and that. Okay, cool. The climax. Okay, we've sent all of our emails. We've gotten some responses. Here are some of the results. Looks like this is happening. Okay, falling action. Okay, great. So we set up our like meetings with this, there, and that client. Now we just have to hopefully take the meeting and close the sale, and then just recap. Okay, we took the sales meeting. Blah 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 blah. I actually landed a client. This is the resolution, right? Like we took the sales meeting, we got our client. So at the end of the day, we sent the 1,000 cold emails. This is what happened, and we were actually able to get a client. So you want to have a story framework for every video, because if you're not, you're just not going to capture viewer retention. And that's what I'm working at, is learning how to write the best storylines and the best scripts right now. That's a skill that I need to learn. And I think if you're going to make content, the two skills, or if you're going to start business, first skill you need to learn is sales. If you're going to start making content, learn storytelling. Those are the two things you should probably focus on if this is something you want to do long term. Be an entrepreneur and make content. Just learn storytelling and sales. You'll be fine. Like,
That's awesome. Yeah, even both of those skills are just so crazy for business and content.
yeah.
But other than that, I'll have all of Ryan's stuff in the description below. Check out his new video. What it was, the sending out the iMessage.
Yeah, I gotta send it over to my, or find an editor to edit it, and then
This
launch
should
that
be
up.
out in like a week. So maybe
Yeah,
maybe
probably like
same
a week.
time. Same time.
Yeah, somewhere
Cool.
around there.
Cool. Well, everybody, I'll go ahead and catch y'all later.
Awesome, man.